You're watching India Upfront and I'm Swati Joshi. The monsoon session is held hostage by stormy politics. For the third straight day, there has been no legislative work conducted in the parliament, where both houses were repeatedly disrupted by the opposition chants demanding a discussion on price rise and GST. Not just inside, but even outside the house, Rahul Gandhi led the charge against the centre. The Sarkar, on its part, has lashed out at the disruptive raga. Union Minister Smriti Irani has singled out Rahul Gandhi and listed his parliamentary track record of discord and absenteeism. Listen into her no-holds-barred attack.
As the Amethi MP, he never posed any questions in Parliament. Once he abandoned Amethi and went to Wayanad, his attendance in the winter session in Parliament 2019 was a meager 40%. A gentleman who has never proposed a private member bill in Parliament in his parliamentary journey, a gentleman whose entire political history has been dotted with showing disrespect to parliamentary procedures and constitutional means of engagement.
But is Smriti Irani's attack on Rahul's track record accurate? Let's take you through some statistics. As far as Rahul Gandhi's attendance from 2019 till now is concerned, it has been 56%. The national average is 79%, and the attendance of Kerala average is 86%. As far as number of debates in which Rahul Gandhi participated is concerned, it has been 5. The national average is 34.8. Kerala MP's average, the state average is 58.1. Number of questions asked by Rahul Gandhi, 76. The national average is 130. State average is 175. Private members' bills, Rahul Gandhi has introduced none. National average 0.9 and Kerala MP's average, state average is 2.6. Now let's take a look at Rahul Gandhi's attendance in Parliament. Let's take a look at that record over the years. Winter session 2021, his attendance was 83%. During the budget session 2021, his attendance was 52%. Monsoon session 2021, 71%. Budget session 2021, 54%. Monsoon session 2020, 0%. Budget session 2020, 70%. Winter session 2019, 40%. Budget session again in 2019, 57%. So that is Rahul Gandhi's track record in terms of his attendance over the years. The opposition has lashed out at the government, saying that it is only trying to divert attention from the real issues, which are price rise and GST. It insists that disruptions will continue till Sarkar relents and agrees to a meaningful discussion.
राहुल गांधी जी लोगों का इश्यूज का उठाते हैं। लोगों का इश्यू सबसे बड़ा इश्यू अभी एलपीजी है और प्राइस राइज है और जीएसटी का डबल टैक्स है। राहुल गांधी जी पार्लियामेंट में आके बात करना चाह रहे थे, वो इसका डिस्कस करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है और पर्टिकुलरली स्मृति ईरानी जी जैसे लोग इसका डाइवर्ट, रियल इश्यूज का डाइवर्ट करने के लिए आलतू फालतू बात करते हैं।
Well, this is the usual response of the BJP to shoot and scoot. We are raising the number one issues on people's mind: GST, price rise, inflation. Instead of accepting responsibility, instead of being transparent, instead of giving a way out, they are busy targeting our opposition leaders.
All these things, people are there. They are all against democracy, against the opposition rights, and they are all conspirators against this constitutional सिस्टम।
पार्लियामेंट्री प्रोसीजर ये है कि देश के जनता के बुनियादी मुद्दों पे सदन में चर्चा हो और महंगाई इस समय बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है। तो महंगाई से आपने हिंदुस्तान की जनता की कमर तोड़ दी और सदन में उस पर चर्चा करने से भी भाग रहे हैं आप लोग।
As far as the BJP is concerned, the big question is, can the BJP take high ground on politics of Dharna? Remember, some of the stalwarts, the fiercest speakers and often disruptors in the parliament used to be from BJP when they were in opposition. And this is how they justified disruptions back then. Jan 30th, 2011, Parliamentary obstruction is not undemocratic, said Arun Jaitley, then leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. On 26th of August 2012, at times obstruction in Parliament brings greater benefits was also said by Arun Jaitley. He was the then leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. In September 2012, not allowing the Parliament to function, also a form of democracy, was said by Sushma Swaraj, then leader of opposition in Lok Sabha. And in September 2012, government's job to run Parliament, not that of the opposition, was said by Sushma Swaraj, then leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha. So these are the statements given as far as disruptions are concerned in the Parliament by stalwarts of the BJP. Let's open this up and go across to our guests. We're joined by Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. We have senior journalist Mr. R. Rajagopalan on the panel with us tonight. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, joins us. We also have Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, and Sameer Singh of the Samajwadi Party. Good evening to all of you. Tehseen Poonawala, the charge is that the only agenda is Dharna and disruption, and that the Congress party or the opposition is not interested in discussion. Smriti Irani specifically lashed out at Rahul Gandhi, said the attendance is questionable, no bills ever introduced. This is the track record, and he only wants disruption. How do you respond?
So much for having me on the show. Namaskar to all the fellow panelists and to all your viewers. There are 2 or 3 things I would like to put across to you. Number one, like you rightly quoted, the late Arun Jaitley ji in August 26, 2012, standing outside Parliament, said that it is a right to disrupt Parliament. Like you rightly quoted the late Sushma Swaraj ji, September 2012, where she said that it is a right to disrupt Parliament. Arun Jaitley went so far as to say, while speaking to Times Now, that it is the right of the opposition, then opposition BJP, not to allow debate and discussion in Parliament, because that gives the government an escape route. He also went on to say, and so did Sushma Swaraj ji, that it is the job of the government to run Parliament. Now, what is the problem that we are facing? Swati, when the great Dr Manmohan Singh ji was Prime Minister of India, the greatest Prime Minister this country has had in the last 2 decades, 71% of the bills went to the Parliamentary Committee, 71% of the bills. You know how much that's reduced to now? 25%. The average time spent on discussing a bill in Parliament was 2 hours 33 minutes in the Lok Sabha when Manmohan Singh ji was Prime Minister. Now it's come down to 23 minutes with bills like LLP being passed within 5 minutes. The farm laws in the Rajya Sabha, while the opposition kept asking for a division of vote, a fundamental right of members of Parliament, the Vice President of India and the Chair of the Rajya Sabha passed it because the BJP did not have the numbers. That is the problem. They are running the Parliament like it's their fiefdom. Mr. Modi is seldom in Parliament. He's never to be seen in Parliament, and he seldom speaks in Parliament on important issues.
Right. Now, Tehseen Poonawala, were these disruptions welcomed during the UPA regime?
No, they were not. Manmohan Singh ji appealed to them to speak. He requested them to speak. But
and
here is the
opposition
problem.
Slammed, questioned by the government, and allegations were leveled against the opposition that it does not want the Parliament to work, does not want the government to work, does not want any business to happen in the Parliament?
And that is precisely the point. The then Prime Minister of India, Dr Manmohan Singh ji, the wise man, appealed to the opposition to come and speak. But they have nothing to speak.
But that appeal happens before every session.
May I answer that?
That is a customary... That is a tradition. The Prime Minister addresses the media.
Now I'll tell you what's happening.
There are all-party meetings that happen. The opposition is always asked, appealed to cooperate with the government in the Parliament and to allow a meaningful debate and discussion to happen. Okay, Sanju Verma is also with us.
No, I'm saying something else. If you just allow me, Sanju ji, 30 seconds more. Every single issue that the opposition wanted to raise then, despite in disrupting, was put on the agenda of the House.
Okay.
Today, can you please tell me, in the agenda of the House, the business of the House, why is price rise not put?
Okay,
why
so you're saying UPA government was very accommodating,
They want to
Sanju
disrupt
Verma.
Parliament in government.
Every issue raised by the opposition was made part of the agenda. It was debated and discussed, but your government is working in a very tanashahi way, and you're not allowing the opposition to have a discussion on important issues.
You know, Swati, Modi government is Tanashahi, Modi government is Hitler Shahi. ये इल्जाम सुन-सुनकर कान पक गए हैं. But coming to the moot point of the debate and the relevant questions that you have raised, you know, I want to say one thing. Does the opposition have a right to discuss price rise? Of course. Inflation is something that affects you, me, the entire middle class, and needs to be debated in a constructive manner. And what better opportunity than the floor of the Parliament? But Nirmala Sitharaman is down with COVID. Smriti Irani Piyush Goyal, they with folded hands requested the opposition, please bear with us. You know, the current session is on till 12th of August. We still have time. We will answer every single query that you raise. Point number one. Point number two. Point number two. When Tehseen Poonawala, or for that matter, any Congressee, they come on your show or, they wax eloquent about how great Rahul Gandhi is with respect to adhering to democratic processes. I will just quickly tell you one thing, Swati. Budget session, which happened few months back, number of debates participated in by Rahul Gandhi, 0. In the winter session in 2021, number of debates participated in by Rahul Gandhi, 0. Monsoon session of 2021, debates participated in by Rahul Gandhi, 0.
Okay.
But more importantly, the fact that Rahul Gandhi has till date never introduced the private members bill is not the important point, Swati.
Okay.
Do you remember that the entire, I will take 10 seconds, Swati, please.
Yeah.
Tehseen spoke at length. Do you remember, Swati, it is not lost on anybody. The entire pre-Lok Sabha 2019 campaign by Rahul Gandhi was done saying Chaukidar chor hai. He made it seem like he is very, very concerned about India's defense preparedness. And I will tell you in 10 seconds just one data point. Between September 2019, Swati, and March 2020, there were 11 standing committee of defense meetings which were held. Rahul Gandhi did not attend a single meeting. Rahul Gandhi ko sirf रोना धोना पोसना बीजेपी को यही आता है.
लेकिन संजू वर्मा, many in the opposition are saying shoot and scoot is your response, and you're only diverting attention from the issues by targeting Rahul Gandhi specifically. If Rahul Gandhi is not positively contributing to politics, if he is only disrupting, why are you focusing only on Rahul Gandhi? There are other MPs in the opposition who I'm sure have a better track record, are raising the same questions, want to have debate on the same issues. उनकी मांग सुन लीजिए, राहुल गांधी को चलिए आप भूल जाइए.
Swati, that's a very interesting question. I will simply say this. We have no obsession with Rahul Gandhi when it is Tejasvi Yadav who made a comment which was very unparliamentary about the to-be president Draupadi Murmu. We completely rebutted that. When somebody like Akhilesh Yadav, wished
where is this? How is this connected? ये इसका क्या connection है?
Please. Swati,
there's no connection to this. Speak to a topic.
इसका connection क्या?
The connection is this. Connection is this. राहुल गांधी के पिताजी, राहुल गांधी की दादी, राहुल गांधी के परदादा, they suffer from the entitlement complex, and we will not allow.
You're saying you're not obsessed with Rahul Gandhi, but you're back to Rahul Gandhi. I want to bring in I want to bring in Sameer Singh. Sameer Singh, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, because ultimately crores and crores of the taxpayers' money is wasted when discussions don't happen, when bills lie in the parliament not passed and pending, and most importantly precious time is wasted. Sameer Singh, Sanju Verma is saying that the government is saying we will answer every question irrespective of what the issue is, we will address all the issues, but you only want to disrupt, you're not allowing the house to function. हम आपकी सब बातें सुनेंगे, आप कोऑपरेट कीजिए.
Swati, the statements made by Sanju ji over here seems like the democracy that the country is running, it has only taken place like today or yesterday. Because if you see, whenever there are important issues like the one we're facing currently, like inflation and GST hike that we're facing currently is the #1 priority for the government. But instead, it is being said that we will discuss it later. When have we seen the BJP discussing such matters later on? And what's the harm in conducting, in appealing to the House that there's a lot of echo. Can you please check it?
Okay, we'll fix that, but please go on. We can hear you clearly.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, when have we seen the government discussing important issues of the country in the Lok Sabha? And what's the harm if the opposition is demanding that a session should be held on to discuss the increasing inflation and price rise and the GST that has been imposed, that has been levied on important products that have never been implemented before? Then what's the harm in discuss? What's wrong in this? In this demand, and if such demands are not to be listened to, the opposition does not have
we're not running away from issues. We are not saying we will never discuss them. We are going to discuss that at a later stage. Give us some time, is what the government is saying.
In some time, that is the government's stand on it. But exactly my point, that when have we seen BJP or the government holding important debates like this in the parliament?
Okay.
Like quoted by Tehseen, that we've seen how the farm laws were passed last year, and that was completely unconstitutional in every way, unparliamentary. So considering that the BJP, so believing that the BJP will...
I have to take a response from Sanju Verma, but,
yes.
but one allegation which is levelled against the opposition often is that whenever the time comes for discussion and debate, there are walkouts by the opposition. I'll come back to you, Sameer Singh and Tehseen Poonawala, for that.
May I answer why we walk out?
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let Sanju Verma first quickly reply to allegations. Yes.
You know, Swati, I think the cost element is very important, and I'm sure you'll discuss that. But 2.5 lakh rupees is the cost of every minute that is wasted in not engaging productively, be it the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And we have 80 days when the parliament roughly runs in session in a year, which means you're talking of several hundred crores which are wasted and taken away from taxpayers' money thanks to people like Rahul Gandhi.
But is opposition alone responsible for that? Is the opposition alone responsible for that?
I'm coming to that. I will now give you one example why the BJP should not be held responsible. You take any session, winter session, budget session, the monsoon session, and you compare the productivity of the Lok Sabha with the productivity of the Rajya Sabha. BJP has a brute majority in the Lok Sabha, and I challenge all your panelists. The Lok Sabha productivity has never fallen below 110%. Last session, Lok Sabha productivity was 123%.
Okay.
Why is that Rajya Sabha productivity is 42%, 57%? Because
May I reply to that specifically?
And the opposition does Rona, Dhona, Tosna. That is all that they do.
All right.
May I reply to that specifically?
Stop this obsession.
Okay, quickly, Tehseen, because I want to bring in Rajgopalan ji and Ashutosh Mishra as well. Quickly, Tehseen.
We are being faced on TV with a tyranny and a barrage of untrue facts. Here's what it is. The brute majority in the Lok Sabha has led to per discussion on bills come down to 23 minutes rather than 2 hours 23 minutes when it was Manmohan Singh ji's government. 2.5 lakh rupees is correct being spent per minute on Lok Sabha, on the parliament. Was this wisdom not dawned on the BJP when the BJP disrupted the entire winter session of parliament over an alleged 2G scam which proved out to be a null and void? Aap kare to chamatkar, hum kare to gunegar. I want to ask you one question and answer one question. Why are bills not being sent to the parliamentary committee? Why do you not send bills for discussion? Why do you pass bills in 5 minutes? Because you have the numbers.
Okay, now let's bring in our senior journalists who have seen several sessions of parliament, several debates, several discussions, several disruptions as well, both in the UPA regime and now, of course, during the current dispensation as well. Mr. Rajgopalan, one, is the opposition alone responsible for the time that is being wasted, for the disruption which is happening, for the money which is being wasted of the taxpayer?
Swati, my understanding is, I will make 3 quick points, that opposition is bereft of ideas, bereft of dealing with the government. Opposition is bereft of dealing with parliament. The reason being, it has got that ED effect, Eknath Shinde and Draupadi Murmu effect. Apart from that, tomorrow, when Sonia Gandhi goes to the Enforcement Directorate, that is why they are stalling and creating a mayhem. My understanding is also that totally, they said unparliamentary words have been introduced by Narendra Modi. unparliamentary behavior of opposition. They say don't speak lie, it's unparliamentary. But they utter lie and seek apology in the Supreme Court. Apart from that, they say rowdy is an unparliamentary word. What do they do inside the House? What do they do inside the Rajya Sabha? Dance on the table, dance on the Speaker's chair. They broke the mic frequently. My third quick point is, out of 3,000 days in 8 years, from 2014 to 2022, roughly it comes to 3,000 days. Honorable Leader of Opposition, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, was away in foreign countries for 100 days, that is 1,000 days. What do you mean about the Parliament? He has to come to the Parliament and face the opposition, face the ruling party.
But tell me something, Mr. Rajgopalan, I'm asking this. Mr. Rajgopalan, once again, I'm asking this question. So does Rahul Gandhi represent the entire opposition? Does he represent the entire opposition? Of course, questions can be asked about his track record in the Parliament, but does he represent the entire opposition in the House?
Swati, simple issue, I tell you, simple. ED questioned me for 5 days, I will stop the Parliament for 5 days. That is the vow the mother and the son have taken.
Okay.
Both of them have taken,
you're saying,
and they destroyed the Parliament.
You're saying that is the reason, but we often I want to bring in Ashutosh. Mishra. It's very interesting that if there is a Congress Party's agenda, according to Mr. Rajgopalan, and the entire opposition is backing Congress in doing that, it's very interesting that how strong this unity is in the opposition, how strong this bond is, Ashutosh Mishra.
This is what you had said earlier, Atkana, Patkana, Latkana. I mean, they have this bias against Rahul Gandhi, and he has become an excuse for them to hide their own failures. Let's talk about the issue today. The issue today is whether any discussion in Parliament would have any positive result. As the BJP spokesperson has said, in Lok Sabha, they have brute majority, which means they are not ready to listen to anyone. They will just go through the motions, push their bills, and that will be it. Sometimes bills will be pushed as money bills, which should have been. The problem here is that GST. Why can't the Prime Minister talk about GST on essential items being withdrawn? You don't have to wait for a Nirmala Sitharaman to recover from COVID. Saying that we will discuss it later means that we are not going to consider your request of taking it back. It's just that ab ho gaya, ab to tuglaki sakka ye chalega. If you remember, Narendra Modi recently called concessions to poor as reverie culture. Those freebies being handed. And what are these taxes used for? These taxes are used for, there was just an RBI report recently that government's capital expenditure has increased incrementally. While the private sector is sitting on cash buffer. Private sector is not spending, but the government is overspending. And where does that money come from? From taxes. Now, what do taxes, you and I, people like you and I pay, and it goes to the cronies of Modi and...
You're mixing up a lot of issues, Mr. Mishra.
This is the Malai culture, and that's why they don't want to discuss GST or any other thing.
Malai culture.
Malai culture, and Smriti Irani is a beneficiary.
A new term has come up, Malai culture. You believe in Malai culture, that's why you don't want discussion. Sanju Verma, respond.
Swati, since he has brought up the economic, Mishra, I will respond to him. Reverie culture simply meant that the Prime Minister was denouncing the 3D culture, which has wreaked havoc with many a nation. Point number 2, Mr. Mishra, with no offense to you, if you do not know about the economy, it's better to keep quiet. Silence is golden at times. We had...
But you don't know anything and you keep blabbering about the economy all the way, all the time.
I did not
You should give me facts.
Ashutosh ji.
Hasn't the RBI...
Ashutosh ji, 1 second, I'll give you time. I will give you time to counter. Mr. Mishra, I'll give you time to counter, please. Mr. Mishra, मैं आपको समय दूंगी. I'll give you time to counter. Let her finish.
Swati, now let me finish my point in 30 seconds. There was a mention by Mr. Mishra about private sector capex. Private sector capex last quarter was at a record high in the last 10 years. 5.91 lakh crore in a single quarter, up 42% year on year. Festive season hiring is up, record 30% year on year. And one more thing I want to tell you. People talk about inflation, they also should talk about manufacturing growth, which for May 2022 was a record 20.6% growth. Mining growth 10.9%, power generation 24%.
This is not the issue.
Do not give
Okay, let's come back to the topic.
9% last year.
Let's come back to the topic.
On the issue. We have others we have to contribute.
Mishra cannot even spell economics.
Okay, let's come back to the topic. Sameer Singh, the allegation is that the opposition is not. The opposition is. Okay, let's be fair. Okay, go ahead with your counter.
Yeah, so Sanju Verma should go and read the RBI report, which says that
I am
private
quoting
sector
the
is
latest
sitting
data.
on cash buffer.
I am quoting.
Okay, Ashutosh Mishra and Sanju Verma, 1 second. Let's come back to the topic. Let's come back to the topic, which is about disruption.
Manufacturing growth is
Okay, let's come back to the topic. I have to go across to other guests. Sameer Singh.
You do not know anything about economy.
All right. Let's come back to the topic. Let's come back to the topic. Sanju Verma and Ashutosh Mishra.
You run away
Okay, all right. Sameer Singh, go ahead. Sameer Singh, go ahead.
So, Swati, I'd like to bring to the discussion a couple of things that.
कुछ नहीं है.
Okay, please.
So, as Sanju ji has put forward some glorious numbers which work completely in favor of the government. But the question here is that if the government is performing so well, since all the numbers suggest that way, then where is all this inflation and unemployment and the current state of the country is in? Where is all that coming from? If the numbers are correct, if the numbers are so glorious, then why is all the and we see that when unemployment is brought into picture, or when unemployment becomes an issue, experimentation is done with the army, and it is and different aspects of it are being projected, and it is very beneficial for the army, for the country. So basically, the point that I want to put over here is the double standards that the BJP and the Prime Minister here today believes in.
Okay,
and it's not time and again we have several instances.
There are debates have happened on
so we have several instances
on GST, on price rise, on the Agniveer scheme. These debates need to happen in the parliament. The opposition says we want to discuss them. The government is not allowing us. The government says the house is not functioning because the opposition is not ready to cooperate. They only believe in disruption and dharna. Will we see discussions on these important issues? And there are several bills that are pending.
Opposition parties want to create a ruckus. They bring placard in the house. Can you believe, Swati? In my 40 years, out of the 6 panelists, I am the only one correspondent who has covered Parliament for more than 35 to 40 years. Never seen this type of hooliganism and rowdyism created by the members of Parliament, taking a placard and showing to the Speaker. Well, what does it mean? Are they interested in debate? Second thing, Swati, whatever the points the panelists made, why can't the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha members of Parliament, Tehseen Poonawala is a very dear friend of mine. He must come to the Parliament and, speak these things, whatever he has just now spoken. Why he is not speaking? The reason being, my mother and myself have been called by ED, therefore we will disrupt the Parliament. That is the slogan. This is not democracy.
Okay, you're sticking to that one point. Tehseen Poonawala respond. But then that is just the Congress. No, that should be only Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi and the Congress leaders. Why is the entire opposition raising the same issue? Tehseen Poonawala.
I have so much respect for Rajgopalan ji. He's actually a very senior journalist, and he's covered Parliament since time immemorial. And God gave him a long and healthy life. He continues to cover Parliament when I'm in Parliament. But here is the thing: Rajgopalan ji is absolutely right on the standards of parliamentary procedure falling down. He's absolutely right, no dispute with him. And when did this procedure start falling? This procedure started falling when the BJP bought cash inside Parliament. Swati, can you believe? Can there be a bigger insult of the temple of democracy than bringing cash inside Parliament? Please allow me to finish, and please see I'm not interrupted. I ask for your protection because there are people here who will come to attack me. So as Speaker, I ask for your protection. Please allow the opposition voice to come out. Swati, you are telling us why are we walking out? Because on the floor of the House, on the temple of democracy, the government stands up and says, nobody died due to shortage of oxygen. Nobody died. You are lying in Parliament. What do you expect the opposition to do? The fact of the matter is, Swati, one is pregnant or one is not pregnant. If you wanted discussion is either the bill of agenda or it's not on the agenda. There is nothing on the agenda. Any promises made by the government is of no value unless it's on the agenda and it comes to times out and this is what we discussed.
Sanju
Everything
Verma.
else is hypothetical.
Sanju Verma.
Tehseen, you are pregnant with lies. Tehseen Poonawala is pregnant with lies. Tehseen Poonawala is pregnant with viciousness. Tehseen Poonawala is pregnant with fake anti-Modi hatred and narrative.
I don't hate Mr. Modi. I love India. I just want to clarify. I don't hate Mr. Modi. I love India.
Come to the main point. Swati, Tehseen and me have many run-ins, but I'll just quickly answer. I think Sameer Singh raised some very interesting points. He said if everything is so glorious, Sanju Verma gave out glorious data points, then why is inflation? I will just in 10 seconds tell you, world over, from US to UK to Germany, inflation is between 8.5% to 9.5%, and it is only because of two factors. And India has also been impacted. One, we had COVID. After 101 years, we had a global pandemic which affected supply chains worldwide. There was global supply disruption. And when we were still recovering, just about recovering, you had the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
Ukraine accounts for 17 to 20% of global wheat production, global soybean production, global maize production, global natural gas production. So it is natural that Russia-Ukraine conflict has also affected the globe. But
Okay, you're saying there are several factors that have affected growth. But my point, Ashutosh Mishra, is if the government has all the counters and if the opposition has these important issues to raise, then why waste people's money and why waste everybody's time? Have these discussions inside the parliament, let something fruitful come out of it.
To Sanju Verma, she spoke about wheat and she forgot that Modi ji went abroad and said we are ready to export if WTO allows. So wheat in Ukraine is not going to affect India. Inflation is there, but she talks about US. US gave money to its poor, protected them. Narendra Modi does not do anything.
Ashutosh ji, please, I am asking you a very specific question.
Who are unemployed.
Ashutosh
That is the
ji,
problem.
I am asking you a very specific question. I am asking you a very specific question. Please stick to that.
So discussion. You are asking me why there cannot be a discussion in Parliament? That's what I am telling you. Because if we go to, first of all, as Tehseen has pointed out, it's not there on the agenda. Secondly, tomorrow there will be Bhashan Sabha which will contain similar untruths where they will make an excuse and blame Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi for everything that this atkana, bhatkana, latkana is the main problem. They will not talk about economics. They will not talk about facts. They will twist facts. If they have a problem, they will change the base year of GDP and they will change show that there is higher growth when they will talk about growth.
Okay, constant disruptions happening here as well. Constant disruptions happening here as well, but it's very important for important issues to be raised in the parliament, for a discussion and debate to happen on that, because that is where the interest lies of all the people of this country. Unfortunately, time and money is being wasted, but the big question is who is responsible for that? Who is not allowing a samvad to happen inside the parliament? Decide for yourselves, viewers. You are listening to both the sides and also watching what is happening inside the parliament. Thank you very much to all our guests. In fact, Sanju Verma and Tehseen Poonawala will continue to be with us for debate number 2 as well.